So, as you heard, I'm Paul Campion. I work for IBM and indeed for the Transport Systems Catapult. Just to be clear, I will be talking on behalf of IBM today. And because I'm talking on behalf of IBM, which is a large IT company, I shall be focusing on information technology. Obviously, there's a ton of other technology that is changing and is going to change transport, but I'll focus on IT because that's probably what I know best. I'm also not going to have any charts. I make no apologies for that. It is well known that all power corrupts and PowerPoint corrupts absolutely. So it's just me. So if I'm not attractive enough to rest your eyes, close your eyes. Close your eyes, it'll probably be better. The impact of technology on transport. It's quite easy when you think of information technology in transport to focus on some of the negative impacts. I don't know if anyone's in from British Airways today. Anyone who's tried to get the cheapest one of these out of a machine with 3 minutes to catch your train will know that information technology doesn't always feel like it's helping. And again, no personal angle on this at all, but the challenge, the sheer technical mind-wrenching challenge of getting a phone to pair the Bluetooth with a 2011 Mini is just, frankly, almost impossible. Lots of negative impacts, but the reason there are so many visible negative impacts is because there are an even larger set of positive impacts. Now, in transport, an awful lot of those are invisible. But your car was designed, built, tested, is maintained with a huge range of IT. As we've seen, planes literally cannot fly without hundreds of IT systems to work. That's true of trains. Again, not a particularly visible way, but the way that companies have benefited from IT is almost without measure. I would argue, though, that the biggest impacts are still in front of us. And that's because most of the positive impacts of information technology on the transport business have been in the back end. It's been design, build, maintenance. It's been administration. It's been efficiency. That's all great stuff. The world could not operate without that stuff. But still, as travelers and users, we can feel that not much has obviously changed in the last few decades. We still have to get a paper ticket to travel on a train. We still have to look at a timetable to find out when the bus is coming. As we get in our car and drive down the road, although there might be nowadays 100 microprocessors inside our car cooperating to enable the thing to go around, at the end of the day, get in the car, drive to where we want to go, get out of the car, and we still can't be sure that there'll be a parking space at the other end, or we'll be able to find out how to pay for that parking space. So, from the perspective of a simple human trying to get from point A to point B on the Earth's surface, there's still a lot to be done. The same is true for a piece of freight. Not that the piece of freight is particularly bothered about how it gets from point A to point B, but freight is one of the big inhibitors to personal mobility, as well as being one of the enablers, obviously, of the economy. If we could find a way to take all of the light goods vehicles as well as the heavy goods vehicles off the roads, there would be no congestion. That's not to say that in my car it's the other person's fault. I'm not stuck in traffic, I am traffic, let's be clear. But the piece of freight doesn't necessarily need to get there at the same time as my son or daughter needs to get to school. It's a scheduling problem. It's a really big, hairy, difficult scheduling problem. It's probably uncomputably big, but fundamentally it's a scheduling problem. How about we were able to find a way to put all the freight in a large city, pick a large city at random, Do that all at night. How about all the Amazon packages only went at off-peak times in their little white vans? You probably know. Almost all of the rise in road traffic over the last 5 years has been light goods vehicles, which say white vans, which mostly don't have plumbers in them nowadays. They mostly have Amazon packages. Could we do that? Would that make a difference? Yes, it would. What's stopping us? Well, I would argue if you step far enough back, you will see that what's really stopping us is the fact that historically we did not know. We didn't know how many people would be travelling from point A to B. We didn't know when that was going to happen. Most of our transport infrastructure, our transport operations, are based on timetables. That's a very efficient way to run a service. It's not a great way to use a service. Why do we do it like that? Because we don't know when people are going to travel. We don't know where they're going to travel to and from. So we just say, look, here's a station, there's a station, you work it out. You string your own journey together. You are the integrator of your journey. And although we all use our smartphones like mad, well, those of us who have them, it's very easy to forget that there are quite a few sets of people in our society who don't have easy access to that or don't want to use it. But anyway, leave that to one side for a moment. It's quite easy to forget that although we love our smartphones, we've got all these apps. We've got all these apps. How many times do I have to put my details into a different app? Yes, there's some great things. A travel line is fantastic. National Rail Inquiry is fantastic. Whichever your favourites are, they're great. They're fantastic. I use them all the time, you use them all the time. But I still have to knit the blooming things together. I'm still integrating my journey because I've got all these different applications, little silos of data. And I still have to keep in my head the fact that I'm turning up at this station in a car, so I need a parking space, and then I'm going to get to that, and then now I've got to, oh, but it's raining, and why? You know, my phone knows where I'm going to be tomorrow. It's got my diary on it. Why do I have to tell it again? Why is it not asking me what I want to do tomorrow? I notice that you're going to be in London tomorrow, Paul. I notice that your travel history is you normally take the train, except when you're in a real hurry when you do da-da-da-da-da-da. I notice that you quite like to walk, but you don't like to cycle. Or maybe I happen to know you're in a wheelchair. Or I happen to know, because I know what the weather's going to be tomorrow as well, that you're going to need an umbrella or a cab. Why would that be so hard to do? So, I think there are some huge opportunities which we still haven't grasped. The thing is, now we do know. We never used to know, but now we know. What do I mean by that? Every single one of you, I'm willing to bet, is carrying a phone. Therefore, someone knows where you started, when you started, where you got to, how long it took, and what route it took. Every single journey, pretty much, in the UK today and every day is tracked. What do we do with that information? We know what the weather's going to be tomorrow. Do we integrate that with our own information? We don't. You've all made loads of purchases which are going to arrive to you from internet or a card or whatever. And even if you haven't, by the way, all of your shopping purchases for the last X years have been tracked by those tills. We know. It's no longer a problem of collecting information. It's all collected. It's a question of interrogating it and connecting it. There are huge issues with this. There are issues of data privacy, of security, silos of data, commercial models. Sorry to pick the scab off again, but British Airways is a perfect example of just how difficult it is to keep all these systems running on a day-to-day basis. If you take it for granted, it's really, really hard. There are probably a dozen other issues, problems, things that need to be solved to make this happen. But the opportunity is there, is it not? And so, the impact of technology on people and goods movement, I think we haven't seen anything yet. I'm hugely optimistic about the opportunities here. By the way, lifetime employment for people in the IT industry, and indeed for many other people here to make this a reality, and, as far as the TSC's concerned, a competitive race to see who in the world gets to realise some of this stuff first. But it's going to be great. It's going to be great. And we will be able to experience a completely different way of moving molecules around on or close to the Earth's surface, to the benefit of us all. So, I'll conclude there with some mindless optimism. The caveat that this is going to be hard, don't underestimate, because if it wasn't, it'd have happened by now. But the opportunities are massive now because we know. Thank you very much.